Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hands-on History Thursday. This is part of Middleton Place Foundation's Plugged into History digital portal series. And today we are back inside the House Museum. We are still talking about the generation of Middleton family that spent time in Russia. And so today we are back with our curator, Mary Edna Sullivan, and House Museum Manager, Rakina Bowen. And they are going to talk to us today about some really interesting artifacts and then a fun project that you can all do at home related to these. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in to Plugged into History. Every time y'all join us, you help us continue our mission of connecting people with the past through American history and helping us to understand ourselves and each other a little bit better. So just to remind you, we are back in Russia with Governor Henry Middleton, who was minister plenipotentiary to Russia from 1820 to 1830. Dr. Dottie Stone spoke on that on Tuesday, so make sure you go back and watch that episode if you haven't seen it yet. And his wife, Mary Helen Herring of Bath, England, and at least a couple of their children. So we're going to learn about some of those kids and some of the times that they spent in Russia today. So we're going to start with Mary Edna. And then we're going to transition over to Rakina with the activity and project for today. So, all right, take it away, Mary Edna.
Good morning, everybody. Again, welcome to Middleton Place. This is our library. And we're going to talk a little bit today about the first emperor that U.S. Minister Plenipotentiary Middleton served under, and that would be Alexander I. And he was the Alexander of Napoleonic fame. We have a print of him over here, and this was done when he was in London for the peace celebrations following the end of the Napoleonic War. Now, Alexander was the son of Paul and the grandson of Catherine the Great, and he ruled Russia for many years, and when he died, he had a glorious and grand procession in honor of his work and in his memory. One of our treasures here at Middleton Place today is what we call the Fête Book, or the funeral cortege of superior and glorious Emperor Alexander I. It is a piece that is almost 5 feet 6 inches long when drawn out. It's like an early diorama. It's too fragile now for us to totally unfold it, but it's open to a page now with the actual catafalque, or the carriage that is carrying the body of Alexander. And in the cortege, if one were to read it very carefully, it's all in French, it's all hand drawn, it's all painted, and painted is the Duke of Wellington, who was, of course, the major general in charge of Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo. And what I want to do is turn it, if there's time, if you've had a chance to look at it.
So this book not only turns pages, but what you're saying is that it accordions out into one long parade.
It's about 60-some inches long.
Wow.
Not quite,
too
but
cool.
it's close. And all the figures were hand-drawn, and it's all written in French along the bottom who they are. Over in the far right is the new emperor, Nicholas, who you met the other day under Dr. Stone's presentation. And in the carriage are Nicholas's mother and his empress. The wife, or Tsarina, of Alexander I, as was custom, remained in seclusion and in mourning, and she was not part of the procession.
So each one of these little people, each horse, each vehicle, all of these are hand-drawn individually.
Yes, they're all hand-drawn, and
wow.
then who they are is written underneath the caption. It's like a caption. And this book was given to the eldest daughter, Mariah Henrietta, who's the tall redhead in the blue dress in this miniature, by one of her many admirers when she was in St. Petersburg. General Dornsife, who was a military attaché or diplomat with the Prussian legation. And as I said, the pages turned. They're all a little bit different. The privileged people who got to ride. And the U.S. Minister Plenipotentiary Middleton was one of the honored guests. He was not in the cortege, but he was one of the honored guests invited to observe the procession.
That's incredible. So this piece is on display at Middleton Place, but when you come here, you don't get to see it out from under glass, and you sure don't get to see the pages turned. So I'm trying to go nice and slow so you guys can get a really good view of it.
It's a beautiful piece. There's only 6 known to have survived from the time period.
How many would theoretically have been made?
That part we don't know, but there are roughly, when I have gone out looking to see who else has one and what they look like and how they compare and what they know about them, I've only come across 6 that are in the venue where I can find them. There may be more in deep private collections, but this is the only one that, and 5 others that I've been able to make connections with.
Sure. I mean, even if more
and this
than
was
that
a practice with every emperor. They have coronation albums, and they have funeral cortege.
So they do these for happy occasions too, not just
as
for
well
funerals.
as funeral.
Okay,
Well,
that's
we're
important.
celebrating someone's life, which although
Right.
it's mourning,
True.
it's still a celebratory
Still a celebration.
event.
For
and
sure.
Now, if one ever goes to Hillwood Museum up in Washington, D.C., they have some of these albums. In fact, they have a portrait album that was created by Maria Henrietta of the people she knew in St. Petersburg.
So she made a little Fête Book, sort of.
It's more of an album. Like this
An
is
album, okay.
Like this is a scrapbook that her little sister, Eliza, who was about, let's see, is it 10 years old at this time.
She's the one in the pink dress.
She's the one with the red head and the pink dress. My finger's probably in the way.
That's okay, I see her.
And the blonde is her sister Catherine. Eliza was the youngest, but Eliza made this scrapbook in St. Petersburg.
In St. Petersburg. Cool.
In St. Petersburg, brought it back home with her. She may have added to it after she got home. Who knows? We don't know that, but we do know that it was from St. Petersburg, and she just put pictures and other interesting bits and pieces in it, here and there, and people drew things like someone, if she didn't draw this, maybe her sister or her father did that one.
Is that Morning Glories? That's
It looks like Morning Glories to me, but it's a beautiful book, and although
tradition of art in this family.
it's been bad, it's old, and this is what it would look like on the outside. And it's the same tool leather that you see on her mother's tiara case.
Oh, cool.
You can see that.
Lovely.
So as I said, we have many things from the Russian era, and these are 2. You've seen most of them. You've seen the wonderful tiara. You've seen the portrait of Nicholas. Somewhere out there is his Tsarina. If you see a Tsarina hanging around without her Tsar
portrait,
call us. We're looking for a Tsarina.
Yeah. Any of our descendants have a Tsarina hanging around they want to share with us? Let us know that it's there. That'd be great.
So we don't know what it looks like exactly. We just know it is a formal portrait.
Sure. Don't forget, folks, if you have any questions, make sure that you drop them into the comments. This is not something that we see every day, of course. I had never heard of a Fête Book myself until I came here to Middleton Place, so I'm learning wonderful things. Oh, great. In fact, here's our first question now. Hi, GB from Canada. Thank you so much for joining us again. GB wants to know, how did all of these things survive the destruction of the property in 1865? Were they with other family members elsewhere? Were they cleverly hidden?
We think that these 2 particular objects and some of the others were in Philadelphia with Eliza Middleton Fisher, if you watched Fashion Week, we had her wedding gown. She married a Philadelphian in 1839, and this was her personal possession. And I didn't mention, but her sister, Mariah Henrietta, who owned this, had tragically died in 1839 in the steamship Blaskey explosion and sinking.
Yeah,
So
Debbie did mention that on Tuesday. Thank you for reminding us.
Eliza had and kept her cherished big sister. Well, she lost her other big sister, Eleanor, who died in St. Petersburg. So Eliza seemed to be the keeper of the female items. Particularly, we know this Fête Book, the scrapbook, and even the portfolio or album that's at Hillwood, all came down through Eliza's family.
Gotcha. And so the Eliza you're talking about, who
This
married in Philadelphia, is the
Yes.
little redhead there in the pink
she
dress.
married a gentleman named Joshua Francis Fisher.
Sure. Cool. Any travel trunks survive from?
We have one travel trunk. It's in the winter bedroom. It's the red leather trimmed with brass in a neoclassical style. It's lined with camphor, and that is where all of our 18th century clothing collection was found in a barn in 1932.
Yeah, so that the clothes that we highlighted last week were found in a trunk from this era. We think it was Governor Henry's trunk. Very cool.
It's
Great
red
question.
leather, red leather, just like this.
Red leather, just like this.
It's
one.
not tooled. It's a shiny plain,
Yeah.
and it's lined with camphor. That's how the clothing survived.
Camphor. Cool.
So,
All right, y'all. Make sure that you drop any more questions that you have in the comments. I'm going to swing around here to Rakina because this is Hands-On History Thursday. And so we have a little project that you might want to do with your family. And as I swing by the door of the library, oh no, there we go, I'm back. Did you all see a glitch? Okay, so I'm going to swing by above the door here. You will see a map of St. Petersburg. Hey, that's as close as I'm going to get. So, I can show you up close and personal on incredible objects like the Fête Book, but if you'd like to examine this map more closely, you're just going to have to wait until Middleton Place House Museum reopens to the public, and you'll have to come and see us. So, all right. Here we are. Hello, Rakina.
Hi. Here's
Hi.
the fun
So,
stuff.
what are we
Photos.
doing today?
Well, since we got to see up close and personal the Fête Book, we thought it would be fun for you to make your own Fête Book. Now remember, a fête is a celebration, whether it's a celebration of being crowned a king or a czar, or it's a procession celebrating their life when they pass. We have celebrations in our own lives. We have birthdays that we celebrate. We have weddings that we celebrate. This time of year, we have lots of graduates that are graduating from high school and college. Those are also ways that we celebrate. We celebrate holidays of all kinds. You know, Christmas and Easter and Hanukkah and I can't even think of all the different holidays that everybody celebrates.
Yeah. Memorial Day is coming up.
Memorial Day is coming up on Monday. A lot of people don't have to go to work, even those that have been staying home. It might not be Memorial Day is probably going to be different this year.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't have to go to work, and they maybe get together with their family and have a cookout or something, and have a day of leisure, you might say. So that people celebrate different ways, and we thought we would help you make your own Fête Book. You can choose your own subject matter for your Fête Book. I've got an example that my daughter actually did, and she decided to decorate the cover, and it does say Fête Book on the outside.
Gorgeous mosaic. Lydia is so super artistic and talented, y'all.
That's why I took it to her and had her do it. Because I was like, here's an idea, go for it. So this is folded accordion style, just like the Fête Book, so we can stretch it out long. Sorry, Flat Arthur.
Oh, he's okay. He'll hold the first page.
And so she's, we did the different holidays. We've got Christmas, and we've got Easter, your birthday, and Halloween. So this is also some more ideas of what you can do if you're an artist or artistically inclined and it can draw. She drew in a Christmas tree and some Easter eggs, a little Easter bunny face. She took some construction paper and fashioned a hat and a birthday covered box, and cut out some jack-o'-lanterns and some grass and applied that on there. So if you're not necessarily artistic, like I am not artistic, you can certainly cut things out of magazines. You can download stuff from the internet, print it off, and cut up your coloring books, whatever it is you've got around. Please use that. I do recommend, if you have construction paper, the construction paper works a little bit better as far as the folding of the Fête Book goes.
Well, and the cool thing about this is that not only does it accordion out like that, but if you fold it properly, you can read it just like a book, right? So we can turn the pages here, which is exactly the way that Czar Alexander's Fête Book is designed as well. You can either read it like a book, like we were just doing, or you can open it out into this great long, so that if you were to do that with that Russian Fête Book, what you would basically see is a still shot of a parade going across the paper. So this is too cool. I love this. Great job, Lydia. I don't know if you're watching, but thank you so much. All right, so what have you?
Later.
Awesome. So what have you got going on here, Makina?
Just kind of like a cooking show, where we're going to kind of do set things in stages and have things ready to go. If you don't have construction paper, but if you do, I recommend using it. But if you don't, some copy paper, and it doesn't have to. I just happen to have some colored copy paper, so. And I just make it because my mind was going to the size of the Fête Book, so that's why I decided to cut the paper. You don't have to. You could certainly glue full pages together or tape them together. I did decide to tape instead of gluing, just because I found it a little faster and a little less messy.
Sure.
So I just kind of fold it in half so I can cut the paper in half. And so that.
Color copy paper. Lean times here at Middleton Place.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. We have plenty of blank copy paper.
Yeah, we do. I just happen to have color, and I thought it would be pretty to have color. So I lined them up like side by side, not overlapping, but just like side by side. So when you do fold it, it'll fold a little easier.
Folds along the tape rather than the paper. Makes sense.
Right.
Really quick, Marietta, while Rakina is doing this, Kathleen would like to know, do we know the name of the illustrator of the Fête Book?
No, it was multiple people.
It was multiple people, Kathleen, so we don't...
They would stand along the procession and draw it.
I'm going to swing back over here. Say that one more time.
The individual artists would stand on, they'd be assigned a section. This is very, very detailed.
Yeah,
So-
I was wondering how they got people's
They would have to
clothing
do-
and their heraldry for their families and everything, so it was more than one artist that was recording that.
And they would do it as they were marching along, and then they had the master of ceremonies script for this, because these were all carefully scripted, and we knew where everybody was, so that they could go back in and say, this was so-and-so, and this was so-and-so, and this was so-and-so.
Everybody in their proper lineup.
Right.
Cool, thank you. All right. So,
Yay,
Rakina's
that was
got
a very good question.
That was
That
a
was
good
something
question.
I hadn't considered, there being more than one artist. So
Yeah.
that's very good.
When I was discussing this yesterday with our guest woodworker, Tony, he said, they must have walked real slow.
Exactly.
I don't know how they would have done that. So there you
Exactly.
go.
So once you get it all taped together, and you can do, I just stopped at 4 pages just for speed's sake, I guess. But of course you can do as many pages as you like.
And it's kind of cool because you can add to it if you wanted to. You could make a Fête Book for a year in your life, and just do a celebration.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could even do one a month or something, and just kind of commemorate whatever's going on in your life. So I started another celebration that a lot of people celebrate is a wedding. So this is what I decided to do, and since I am not as artistically inclined as my daughter, I downloaded pictures off the internet and kind of did a step-by-step of what would happen to a wedding. And first there is the proposal, so here he is asking her to marry him, and then they have to decide where they're going to get married. Are they going to get married in a church, or are they going to get married at Middleton Place, where we have lots and lots of
That's
weddings?
certainly something they could do.
And then she has to go dress shopping, and which dress is she going to say yes to? She's not sure, and then maybe
Well,
she
said
says yes
to
to
the
that one.
princess dress.
Of course, everybody does. And then the big day. And again, I'm not very artistically inclined, so I downloaded some pictures and I'm going to glue them in, and then I might go back and add in some flowers and different things around. You can use any medium that you want. You can use crayons, you can markers, colored pencils. My daughter used more construction paper. Golly, I'm just trying to think. Besides printing and magazines and all those kind of things, you can, maybe if you have some extra cloth laying around and you know how to make something into like a flower or something, you could certainly apply that. I'm thinking pipe cleaners and all kinds of things you can add to make your Fête Book a little more special.
Definitely a cool idea for multimedia. I would love to see, if y'all make Fête Books, first of all, I really need for you to take pictures of them and send us the photos. We want to highlight your Fête Books. But I think it might be really neat in the style of the Russian Fête Book. I know there's somebody out there who is graduating this year. So if you are doing one of those neighborhood car parades where your graduate is going to stand out on the porch and the whole neighborhood is going to drive by and wave and cheer and honk and congratulate them, I would love to see a Fête Book of the parade of cars that is driving by your graduate and wishing them well. So send us your pictures of whatever you're celebrating, but I think that would be a really fun one and pretty topical for 2020 here in pandemic world. So thank you so much, Rakina. If anybody else has any questions, make sure that you drop them in the comments here. We are happy to answer more questions about the Middletons' time in Russia. So I actually have a question, Mariana, and I don't know if we know the answer. I'm sure that Henry and Mary Helen and their family would have had household attendants, right? They surely would have brought at least a valet or a lady's maid with them to Russia, probably, and enslaved.
We only know of one person who's clearly identified as someone who was not Caucasian.
Okay.
One of the Russian countess says something to Henry about Votre Negra. We believe that man she's talking about was a man named Ben Gawain. And he may very well have been the minister's valet.
Okay.
Or he could have been, because we do know they had Russian servants as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Mary Helen has commented in letters that she's tripping over people and it takes 10 times as many people to do.
Oh my goodness. So maybe they didn't bring too many people with them because they were given.
Well, they weren't given, they hired them.
Okay.
Right. And their house was right next, if you've been to St. Petersburg, their house was right there on the Fontanka Canal, right next to the Summer Palace Gardens and just down the street from the Hermitage and right on the Neva River. So it's
high-class neighborhood.
Center of social activity, and it was a huge place, and they were there for 10 years, and we do know that this gentleman who possibly was enslaved, possibly was free, we don't know that much about Ben Gawain yet. We know that he stayed behind in Europe when Henry Middleton and his wife and family went back to the United States. He worked for a while in the Spanish embassy in Spain, and we know he came back at some point and tried to meet. I think this man he and Governor Henry had a disagreement. And we don't know all the story on him, but he is the only one that we know with any certainty that actually went to Russia.
And would he have possibly been present at this? I know that you said that Governor Henry was a guest of honor. Would he have been attended by Ben, or would Ben have been still at home? That part we don't know,
but we do know that the Russian nobility had African Americans as servants, and he could possibly have been a servant of honor, like a valet, but we do not know that. I mean, there are portraits of Russian nobles with page boys who are very definitely African American. Since it was Russia, they probably were as much slave as free.
Sure.
But we don't know that either. So, but we do know that it was common practice. I think Ben was a full-grown man, so he would never have been a page.
Right. But maybe a ballet.
But a ballet, but even then, ballets did not usually accompany their gentlemen, shall we say, as they used, with them at two events such as this.
Interesting.
He might have accompanied him in traveling to the event, but he would not have been actually, he might have been with the people in the crowd watching the event. Like these artists are standing there, it's like watching, many years ago I watched the funeral cortege of John F. Kennedy, and there were people filming it, there were people doing all kinds with it. I was standing in the crowd in Pennsylvania Avenue watching it go by. So he could very well have been like that.
Interesting. So we have lots of questions still, We're fortunate to have Ben's name and know a little bit about him, but even though we have these wonderful objects that tell us a lot about the Middletons' life in Russia, there are still definitely questions. There's still research to be done, and interest for what those enslaved individuals who would have been in this household here in South Carolina might have been doing during that 10 years that the Middletons were away if they did not accompany them. So
well, we know there were stewards here that were hired to manage the plantations. Plus, Henry's brothers, Oliver Herring Middleton and John Izard Middleton, were in the area, and they did a lot of the, shall we say, boots on the ground here in the States.
Sure.
And made it possible for Henry to remain that long. And
Dottie told us the two eldest sons also stayed. Is that correct? The two.
Are you talking
Henry's eldest sons?
Yes, well, the boys were there. Well, they were more like boys at the time. Arthur was there for a while, and then he went on to Paris and other places. He was the oldest son. Oliver Herring was there for a while, and he also went on to do other things.
Right.
William was his father's secretary for a while, and you may have seen a portrait done of him by Mariah Henrietta Dottie.
I don't know.
Okay, I didn't know. I mean, it crosses over. We have so many things. But there is a small portrait of him from that time period. And then Edward Middleton, who was in St. Petersburg. When he left there with a special passport from the Tsar, where he was the cabin boy for the admiral of the Russian fleet. And they sailed from St. Petersburg to Malta, where the Navy fleet was, and he became a midshipman, and he retired many, many, many years later, remaining with the Union during the Civil War as an admiral.
We did see that document on Tuesday.
He remained an admiral, and he and that admiral that had taken him to Malta remained good friends for their life of the admiral.
So we do have one more question. Do we know what time of year the Middletons traveled to St. Petersburg, and then 10 years later, what time of year they returned? I don't know that I've ever... I don't know that I've ever asked that question.
I'm trying to think of the exact time. I know the initial party were the daughters, the sons, the two daughters, Mariah and Eleanor, Minnie, and then were definitely part of the party. There was Henry, and there was Mary Helen, possibly Ben Gawain, and travel to and from Russia frequently was done best in the wintertime, because the roads were much more passable when they were frozen. And if they took a ship, it was summertime, and if they took overland, and it took them we do know it took them 2 months from when they left England to get to St. Petersburg.
Okay.
And it probably...
It's a long time.
A very long time. But we don't have a lot of specifics for that particular era, because the papers just haven't been found that tell the story yet.
All right, so we're going to take a trip to St. Petersburg. That's what I just heard. I'm ready. My bags are packed. Let's take a little trip. I want to see the great wonders.
I've been trying to put together a trip for years. I love St. Petersburg.
Awesome. Well, that's great, ladies. Thank you so much. So, how did your wedding fête book come out?
What you think? I added some flowers around their little archway there.
That's beautiful. All right, so let's accordion it out, the whole long thing. Not just a book, but also, there we go. I I anticipate that this is going to be a new trend. Instead of a guest book, we're going to make a Fête Book and let everybody
I think you
maybe draw themselves.
Yeah,
or
I think you scrapbookers out there would probably
There
like to
you
do
go.
This would be just a slight twist on a scrapbook.
I love it. All right. Well, folks, don't forget to put your questions about the Middletons' time in Russia or how to make a Fête Book or really anything at all in the comments section. And make sure that you join us tomorrow for History Unplugged. Tomorrow evening, Friday afternoon at 5 p.m., we will be joining Mary Edna again. And yeah, we're going to have a little bit more conversation about society in Russia and in Europe. No? Did I say that wrong?
No,
we're going to talk about Madame Recamier. Right?
Madame Recamier.
My bad.
And
Sorry,
her
guys.
relationship with,
John Izzard. I'm sorry. I lied. I just scared Mary Edna. That was scary. Oh, welcome to the wonders of live internet, folks. Sorry. Don't worry, Mary Edna. We're going to talk about what you want to talk about. I just forgot what it was. We're going to talk about John Izzard Middleton, the first American classical archaeologist, and his relationship with the Madame de Recamier, who was very present in European society and in the salon. So that's where I got that from, that brain part. Sorry.
She's a very popular salon.
Yes. So we will talk about that tomorrow afternoon, Friday, 5 p.m., right here on Facebook Live. And in the meantime, you are getting lots of thanks, ladies, in the comments section. So thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in to this Plugged Into History, Hands-On History Thursday. We really appreciate you. Middleton Place Foundation is open on a limited basis. You can come out into the outdoor public spaces. We're not open in the House Museum just yet, but you can get some food to go or socially distance in our restaurant. And so we just look forward to seeing you all back out here soon. Keep your eyes on our website and on our social for when the House Museum will open. Hopefully that's coming soon. And so, yeah, we'll join these ladies again soon. We'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you so, so much. Bye.
Bye.